I was really curious how folks were doing. And again, I study human performance and resiliency, and I reached out to folks and said, okay, how are you? What do you feel most of the time? And the number one feeling word that they reported back to me was they said, Robyne, how I feel is done. I am done. And it wasn't like done, I got all my work done, right? It was done as if I'm so tired all the time. And there's just so many stressors out there. And I want to do good work, but I don't even know what I need to do to get myself back on track. Just things feel off. So I got really curious. What is going to help people feel the strongest when they're going through uncertainty? And the number one thing that we know makes the biggest difference is if we can help people reconnect with their energy. Their energy again. We got to get excited. We got to get our hopes up again that the futures are bright. Well, if I was to say, how do we get our energy up? Usually it involves motion, right? We got to get up and pick ourselves up. However, if after a really long, heavy day, I said, oh, you're exhausted and tired, you need to go to a spin class or jump on your Peloton, you'd be like, hard pass. Like, no, I'm too tired to do that. So we wanted to know how else can we get energy for our people in a different way that doesn't involve the output of the kinetic energy. And psychology gives us a clue, okay? And the clue on how we can generate energy is a practice called empathetic attunement. And let me tell you what that looks like. And the best way I can tell you what that looks like is to give you an example literally from the wild. My wild is being a mother of 3 teenagers. I have a 20-year-old and an 18 and a 16-year-old. So can I give you an example of empathetic attunement in practice? Well, I'm going to give it to you anyway, but do you want to pretend you're excited for it? Okay, that's better. Okay, that feels better. Okay, so these are the crew. This is my crew. I have Jax, who's my littlest, 6'6" on his way. He's not that little, but he's 16. I have Ava in the middle, Ava Leslie, and then I have Hunter, my oldest, who's 20. And a wee while ago, my boys and I were sitting in the kitchen having a little team huddle, and their sister came home from school. Has anyone ever seen an 18-year-old girl in a mood before? Yeah? Yeah, I feel like you're like, yes, yes. So I turned to the boys to suggest you better give your sister some space, but the boys had fled. They already left. And now I'm standing there with this really dysregulated teenager. And in that moment, I said, Ava, do you want comfort or solutions to whatever this is? And she said, Mama, what I want is you to sit with me right now and hate math as much as I do. And I said, I got you, sister, yes. So we sat down and we commiserated about what was wrong with the math curriculum until I noticed she started to settle. And I said, Ava, what happened today? Why were you so worked up about math? And she goes, Mama, I was in English class, and the teacher said, Ava, what is the last book that you read that made you cry? And she said, calculus. I know. And everyone thought she was being silly, but in that moment, she felt so much overwhelmed. And we feel overwhelmed when we are alone in a big feeling. But as soon as someone shows up in our world and says, hey, do you want comfort or solutions? You do not have to walk this alone. What happens is the body interprets that support with the notion of possibility. And as soon as our body feels the possibility that we can figure this stuff out, we all of a sudden get the energy to do just that. Now, another idea that we talk about and how we think about this work about resiliency is the fact that we're going to have those days where we feel overwhelmed. We're going to have those days where we do feel like giving up. And again, doing research in this area for over 20 years and teaching at the university level for 20 of those years, the question I used to ask was this: why do some people give up when it's hard and other people will give up and get up? What is that difference? And at the time, a lot of folks were talking about grit and hardiness and toughness. And they said we just have to be stronger to navigate what comes our way. But then I got to go into the world and met some of the most resilient people on the planet. And when I saw their stories and talked to them, they would say so often, Robyne, I don't feel very strong. I don't feel very gritty. Yet somehow they were able to persist. And when I asked them, how did you do this? The number one response that I would heard back was so powerful. I did it because life didn't give me another choice. I did not ask for this. I did not sign up for it, but I knew people were counting on me.